Thank you very much. Good morning. Please prompt me when you are ready, please. Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, wherever you're watching from, all over the world. My pleasure to welcome you to day 2 of this special week-long event put together by the Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy, NAPHARM, in partnership with Nigerian Guild of Editors. This is an awareness program to bust the myths about COVID-19, expose the facts about COVID-19, and at the end of the day, to also let us know that COVID-19 is not a death sentence, that COVID-19 is surmountable, that together we can ride this storm, this tiger called COVID-19 pandemic. Yesterday was day 1, and the Nigeria Center for Disease Control showed very clearly that this pandemic is under control. Today, we are looking at the role of the media in the management of COVID-19. Before we take the national anthem, let me also tell us that we have media icons to take us through. The presence of Dr. Tony Iredia is in the house. It's already online. Dr. Iredia is one of the media gurus in this country, a broadcaster par excellence, former DG, Nigerian Television Authority, former CEO of the National Orientation Agency, and editor of editors, administrator of administrators. He is in the house. Also to join us is one man I call the monumental Dr. Ruben Abati, a rounded media professional. So it is actually a rendezvous today, and it's my pleasure to formally welcome us. But I will also let you know that from this end, where we are making the transmission, we have very senior pharmacists in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, in the legal profession, you have senior advocates of Nigeria. If they were in the legal profession, these ones would have been senior advocates of Nigeria. But they are pharmacists of renown, of repute. Let me start with the introduction of the president of the Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy, the respectable Prince Julius Adewale Adelusi Adeluyi. Well, if that name is too long for you, just remember Julie Pharmacy. One way or the other, he has touched your life in a very positive way. Thank you very much, sir, for making our time to be here. Also in the house is the vice president of NAPHARM, the vice president of the academy. Our own Sir Ifeanyi Atoyin, you're welcome, sir. When you hear sir, you know it's united. It's knighted. Also with us here is another pharmacist of repute, Dr. Lolu Ojo. He's one that has put this thing. He's director of programming and planning and chairman of the planning committee for this event. Dr. Ojo, you're welcome, sir. At this juncture, may I urge you, wherever you are, to be upstanding as we take the national anthem. And I'll do that at the count of 2. 1, 2. Thank you very much. We will take our seats, please. The next on the agenda is going to be a long day. It's because a media day, you expect a lot of jojo. It's our opening prayer. May I implore you, wherever you are, to, in the next 1 minute, quietly and solemnly, say a prayer according to your faith. The time starts now, please. It shall be so according to your faith. Amen. Okay, we go straight to. Let me also remind us that because it's a media day, there's a whole lineup of media gurus. I've told us that our own dear Dr. Tony Redia is already online. Very shortly, he'll be giving us his opening remarks as the chairman of the occasion. Also, I've introduced to us Dr. Ruben Abati, who should be joining us after his studio duties. We also have as panelists Kingsley Uranta of Channels Television is online. We also have Dotun Oladipo, publisher of Eagle Online and president of the Guild of Corporate Online Publishers of Nigeria, GOCOP. We also have as panelists Max Amuche, distinguished journalist and publisher of Sundiata Post. Also in the house is a crusader for truth in journalism, Danlami Modu, MNI, is publisher of News Diary Online. Danladi, you're welcome. It's a huge lineup. Let me also say hello and welcome our moderator, Dr. UNO Uwaga, former president, PSN. At this juncture, we are going straight to our chairman, Dr. Tony Iredia, to give us the opening remarks for the day. Dr. Tony Iredia, please.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. I want to thank you for inviting me to this program. I'm particularly delighted to be part of it because I just completed a research study on how collaborative ventures between the media and scientists can serve as a solution to issues of the land. I've been taking a look at poverty in Africa, and it has become clear that scientists have done all that they can to ensure that we're able to reduce hunger in Africa. But it is becoming obvious that what the scientists are able to do will not be all that is required. They will need to let the world know what they are doing. And to be able to do that, they require professionals in the field of effective communication. And I think that whenever scientists and media professionals collaborate to deal with a problem in society, that problem is likely to be solved because all the solutions will be provided by the scientists, all the publicity will be provided by the media, and so the world will be generally informed not only about the issues, but the events that led to the issues, the progress that had been made in the fight, and what the results have come out. So when all of these are available, there will be some level of motivation for those who are actually doing the studies to continue to do more, in which case to improve on whatever the solutions are. If we're talking about vaccines, we want to improve on those vaccines. If we're talking about affordability, you want to be able to ensure that distribution of those vaccines have reached a level where you can say the whole issue is saturated. And without the media, you can't do that because the world is divided into two. One part is made up of activities. The other part is made up of knowledge of those activities. Because whatever is done that is not known to have been done is regarded as not having been done. And that is why public enlightenment must always take the front burner in national development discourse. A lot of people tend to put down the media, but they do not realize the major role that the media can play in whatever they want to do. That is why I think that this venture hits the mark because it brings together two different crucial groups that will ensure that the present pandemic is addressed, either because we're able to find better solutions or we're able to make those solutions well known. For example, by getting the media involved in what is being done to cure the COVID-19 pandemic, all the controversies that are currently surrounding the subject will give way because there will be enough publicity for people to know the correct position of the stories they keep hearing. And all of this can be done through a multiplicity of publicity efforts, which the media as professionals will have a higher opportunity of handling than the scientists. So the scientists will do well. They will produce the vaccines. They will tell us which one and how to use them, but we'll need to help them propagate their inventions and discoveries to reach the rest of the world. This is why I think that this workshop, seminar, as the case may be, is particularly relevant because we are still in the middle of the pandemic where the controversies appear to have overwhelmed the merits of all the efforts that have been made so far. So I would like to welcome all of you to the forum and to expect that so much will be gotten out of this and that it will help society, particularly developing nations like Nigeria, to make progress in the struggle to bring the pandemic to an end. Once again, I thank you for inviting me and I welcome you all. and I leave you to deal with the issues while I listen patiently to the deliberations. Thank you.
That's our own Dr. Tony Radia. Thank you so much. Talking on the need for collaboration between the media and the science community. Now is the time to call on Mr. Azu Ishekwene. Mr. Azu Ishekwene should be speaking now to give us a perspective as a keynote, a media perspective as a keynote. Mr. Azu Ishekwene, please.
Hello.
Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The president of the Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy, and the vice president of the academy, the president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, our chairman for this occasion, Professor Tony Iradia. I'm sure that my friend Ken knows that our senior, very senior and respected uncle in the profession has moved past the pedigree of being a doctor. He's a professor and he has earned his professorship. So I enter an apology on Ken's behalf to address you properly, sirs, which you are Professor Tony Iradia, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. As I have been introduced, I am not Dr. Ruben Abati, who's supposed to be holding the fort at this time. But my intervention is just to see how we can get things going until Dr. Abati is able to join us. He sent a message to me a short while ago saying that he's otherwise engaged in studio duties and he's doing the best he can to extricate himself and to join us hopefully before this conversation is over. So my assignment is fairly straightforward because I'm going to leave the work of engaging this issue to the distinguished panelists, especially given the sort of background that Professor Iradia has given us on this subject. I think we should also be comforted by the idea and by the knowledge that this is not what anyone by just giving a keynote or giving a single speech can exhaust. On this call, there are about 70 of us, and I see from just looking at the call log that we are mostly journalists. And this is a day for journalists. So whether it is one journalist giving the keynote or is a panel of journalists leading the conversation following the keynote, I think this is a conversation in which we all should be engaged in for the benefit of our society and for the upliftment of our profession. Without further ado, I want to just share with colleagues something that I found this morning while I was doing a bit of desk research. It's a study that is available on a platform called theconversation.com. And I think it in a way summarizes the tone of the conversation that we're having this morning, which is the role of the media in the management of the COVID-19 pandemic. There was a study done in Australia, and it was published yesterday, the 13th of April. It was done in Griffith University. The study actually focused on the role of the media, but focused especially on the role of social media in the management of the pandemic. And I thought perhaps I should share the outcome of this study to further perhaps deepen the debate and the conversation that we are going to have this morning. Now, this is the summary of what that study found about the role of the media, specifically about the role of social media. 97,000 people were polled on the Twitter post of 97,000 people were polled. Out of the 97,000, they found from the polling of the 97,000 people that were polled, that the posts regarding the pandemic accounted for about 42,000. And the modality that was used for this research was what they call sentiment, polarity, and topic modeling. So it was some sort of polling done on how users of the social media handle Twitter responded to the whole issue of the pandemic. Australia, and the study was between January 24th and March 24th. So it's a fairly recent study, as you can see. But what they found from the study was that 80%, as of January this year, 80% of Australians, as of January this year, 80% of Australians had a favorable attitude. 80% of Australians were beginning to had a favorable attitude of the pandemic. Had a favorable attitude towards the pandemic as content regarding the pandemic is shared on social media. But they also found that the attitude of Australians tended to flow and ebb in response to the quality of information that is provided on social media. For example, they found that when reporting regarding the pandemic began to drop in the media in Australia and people began to relax a bit, issues regarding social distancing and attitude to vaccine or adoption of vaccine followed the similar trend. That means what that means in effect is that the media ebb and flow responded. The ebb and flow of attitude towards reception of the vaccine ebb and flowed in response to how the media was covering it. And so when, for example, there was a lot of reporting in Australia between January 24 and March 24, there was a lot of reporting on people being vaccinated. The attitude of of Australians in general towards adoption of the vaccine tended to increase and tended to be more favorable. But when there was a problem with the AstraZeneca vaccine, and the use of the vaccine was temporarily suspended in parts of Europe, and that was reported in the social media and of course in the media space across Australia, attitude towards adoption and use of the vaccine also tended to ebb at that time. So what the study found in essence was that there was a correlation between media reports. Whenever the reports were positive, there was a correlation in the attitude of the media towards adoption of the vaccine. And when it was negative, there was also a negative response in terms of adoption. I think that this is useful for us because this helps us to set the tone on how we, who are leaders in the media space, are doing our work. I recall that at the initial stages of the pandemic about a year ago, the media was in the forefront the media was in the forefront in terms of the use, in terms of issues like social distancing, whether people were masking or not masking, and so forth and so on. And we found that the more we covered this social attitudes towards the pandemic, the more people either responded or did not respond to it. So I think that this morning, a few of the issues that might be useful for us to consider, for us to discuss, will be what has the role. We have talked about Australia, and I've just shared with you what happened in Australia. I don't know whether a similar survey or a similar research has been conducted in Nigeria, but it would be interesting to hear and to know from colleagues what generally the attitude has been in Nigeria in terms of if there was a correlation between the things that have been reported in the media generally and the attitude of the general public towards one, how we manage the pandemic, and now that we have entered the vaccination phase, towards public attitude towards the adoption of the vaccine. So those will be my initial comments. I think that I have also read one or two reports about what some international organizations like the World Health Organization has been doing regarding the training of journalists. What we are doing today is also to advance that work. I'm aware, for example, that the WHO has trained about 100 journalists in terms of, because this is a new challenge that we are all dealing with. And we also as journalists need to train and to train ourselves about how we cover this very important subject. I'm aware, as I said, that the WHO has trained about 100 journalists, both in Abuja and elsewhere in the country, in terms of how to respond to and how to cover this pandemic in such a way that the information that we provide becomes useful and will help the public respond better to the managing the challenges of this of COVID-19. I'm also aware that a number of media houses have put up fact-checking sites. Premium Times, for example, is leading in this area with Dubawa, which provides fact-checking for issues relating to COVID-19. It will be interesting to know it will be interesting to know what colleagues in other media houses are doing and how they are responding. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, you can.
Okay, that's fine. So I think
Hello?
Yes, okay. I will stop at this point. It will be, and perhaps turn it back over to the chairman for his further direction so that we can have the panel and colleagues on this call to share with us what their actual experience has been, because I also consider that journalists are also in the front line in the coverage of this pandemic. We have lost a number of colleagues who have died or who have been exposed to the virus in the course of doing their jobs. And it will be interesting to know how other media houses are responding to this, and also how what we can do better to serve both the profession and the public better in this COVID-19, in how we cover COVID-19. Thank you very much. I turn it over now to the chairman, and I'll stop there for now. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Azo. Always the seminar and celebrate Azo Isiekwene. Thank you very much. Mr. Isiekwene, I should say, is co-chairman of this project between NAPHARM and the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Thank you very much. Let me also put on notice our moderator, Dr. Uzouku Nelson or Dikemere Owaga. Please be ready, because you are the moderator. I'm prompting you now. I have to call your full names. Because,
thank you.
They keep introducing us as UNO. You're not United Nations. So be on the alert, sir, while I introduce our panelists. Kingsley Uranta is of Channels Television. Kingsley, be set and ready. I know you are loaded. Also on the panel is Mr. Dotun Oladipo, publisher of Eagle Online. He's also the president of Guild of Corporate Online Publishers, GoCorp. Is my president. Also ready is R.O. Mark Samuche, publisher of Soon the Atta Post. Please be ready. I'm prompting all of you now. And our dear Danlami Modu, MNI, It's actually one of the few MNIs in media. Yes. We have our own MNI, and it's on our panel today. He's publisher of News Diary Online. So we have a very loaded panel of discussants. Now, my pleasure to hand over to Dr. Uwaga to moderate the next session. The panelists will discuss following from Azu's presentation. While we are discussing, we expect that Dr. Abati will join us shortly. But let's start the discussion. Azu mentioned something about the media reports and public attitude, using Australia as an example. And I can relate to that because the media mirrors the society, apart from being an agenda setter. When we report and bombard, put the information in the face of the public, there is the possibility that they will respond to that information. But when there's a degree of attenuation, when there's disinterest in media reports, when the media stop reporting an event, people tend to forget that episode. So there is actually a correlation in media reportage of COVID-19 pandemic and public perception. But one thing I can assure you that Nigerian media has done very well so far, because in the wake of the vaccination exercise, because media is also on the front line in the provision of service, as we gather information and disseminate, we gather information from the medical staff and we disseminate to the public. Most of the journalists that took their jab made it public. I think that has helped also to raise public confidence in the vaccination process. And I think that's where the Nigerian media has scored high. I commend them, whoever kickstarted that, because if you go to social media, it's awash with people that you know, you and I know, that have taken the jab and they're not hiding it. And they're saying, I'm good, I'm fine. There's no downside so far. And we have not reported any major downside. So at this juncture, I hand over to Dr. UNO Uwaga.
all the arrangements they have been making and so on and so forth, but you find that somebody has to police them. And in order to get the correct information to give to the society. And there again, the media comes to play. And we go further. This pandemic has come up with a lot of situation that we don't really like, about. And that is, it has come up with a lot of misinformation. Because here, we can be talking about the trusted media. But the social media in Nigeria also is good, but a large number of them also can be very disruptive. They give information that may not quite. So we are talking about the trusted media and what they could be doing in situations of misinformation. That is attempt to try to counter it, stigmatization, which is so very common, fake news, and a lot more. So we find that most times the media bring in credible people, experts, to talk about some of the controversies. Now that we are vetted in the vaccines and what it could do for us, you find that there's chance, misinformation. And I do recall when I went to take my own vaccine that the center where I went to was almost empty, because people were still reluctant to come and take the vaccines. And there again, it is the media that the people trust that could tell them the truth. So in our discussions today, if we take what Azu has put in and what my brother Obeche is also trying to put in, and a few things that I will talk about later on, we might be able to come up with quite some discussions that will help us. And on that note, I would like to take the perspectives of some of our gurus that we have here. And I will start with Kingsley Oranta of Channel TV, with all my respects and each and every one of them, because these are great people that are serving this country. So let me start with my brother Kingsley Oranta.
Thank you so much indeed for this opportunity. My respect to Professor Redia and professionals here this morning. Can you just pause for a moment and imagine a day that goes without, just 1 second. You can imagine what would happen. Blackout of information and all the resultant effects, human race. That is the importance of the media. Now, in 2019, when this pathogen came up, of course, we were all groping in the dark because there was no information. But the media rose up to it with the normal question of what? And of course, what we're able to identify what was happening, and then how do we tackle it? How do we sustain it? And of course, there were programs that came up in all media houses to try and educate and inform the people. And that also brought information across the world on what should be done to live with this virus. Now, the media has been quite effective in educating the people, in bringing to the fore what this virus is all about. But of course, there were a lot of conflicting information, but the media rose up to it to say, we must report what is right. And medical professionals now had that task of bringing up what the real information is, what is happening across the globe. And the media rose up to that as well. But I think that we have gone past what. We are now in the stage of how. and then to sustain that. And back in Nigeria, you would know that a lot of media houses came up with programs. The whole place was awash with programs of all sorts to try and educate the people. But again, there were conflicting information, and to the extent that even some world leaders didn't agree that this was an issue. But it took the media to really situate this pandemic, and then to drive the information on why people should take care of themselves. But right now, the media, of course, is challenged by what everybody has been talking about, the fake news, which we have to grapple with, and of course, the social media, which is a plain canvas for everyone, I know, to write and inform. But again, it is taking the real media, the trained media, to put in the real information. So for me, I think the media is always at war with what is happening. The media reports what it sees, but the media has to dig deeper and be more creative in such a way that it would continue to sustain information in the public space. Medical professionals, of course, had opened up to this, and thanks to the PTF and to government, which immediately got up to a good start by creating avenues for public information. And then the media latched on that to have that done. But we have to sustain programming. We have to sustain programming because at some point, programming took a dive. But some media organizations, and I dare say, at the risk of sounding immodest, Channels Television picked it up again to say we must sustain the programming. And that is why every day there is the COVID-19 update. So the media shouldn't go to sleep because we still have a lot to do. I'm talking about the vaccine. That is another area where the media must find creative ways of bringing this to the fore and sustaining it. So I think that we have a long way to go, both in the electronic and the print media and media generally. But we have a challenge in the social media that we have to counter what is going on there, because we have lots of fake news, unverified, and then people, the general public, of course, would take up everything they see on the social media. But the real media has that responsibility to counter this with news that they have verified, with the truth, and then the information that people can use. So for all media practitioners, we shouldn't go to sleep because we have quite a lot of work to do.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think we shall be talking first, maybe 3 minutes of talk. I like the way my brother Kingsley has spoken. And we shall come back to you, sir. But you've spoken well. Let us look at Dotu and hear him out.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Let me also stand on the existing protocol. I must also say that what happened last year caught most of us unaware. We were not prepared at all. Not the country, not the media. However, in between last year and this year, what I have seen is that so much is expected of the media, but so little in terms of help, and until much later, the level of information provided by the experts. This is where I'll give kudos to the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. That task force has done a great job. The weekly briefing has helped. At a point in time, it was almost daily. And I think they did well. But my area of concern, especially going forward now, is that we expect so much from the media, but there is so little help coming from the government and other sources where funding could have come from. And that during the pandemic, some had to terminate the appointment of a lot of journalists. There was outcry and all the rest. But for practitioners, those of us who are in-house, we could feel the problem, we could feel the pressure on the finances of the media houses. Paying staff wasn't easy, even when they were home, because obviously during the period, advert intake had dropped, population had dropped, virtually everything went down. Whether you speak of the electronic, you speak of the print, you speak of online, it was the same thing all over. And unfortunately, the government that expected so much from the media did little or nothing. Some other clients we had what happened. And intervention from Google, which helped a lot. So going forward, we should task the government to look at what its expectations are from the media, vis-a-vis what the media itself can do, especially with manpower. People who have had to drop maybe out of 50 editorial staff, you've dropped about 20, 30. You definitely don't expect them to match up in terms of reportage again. And then also, the issue of availability of information. It's good enough now, but it can also still be better. So in terms of also the issue of misinformation or outright falsehood on the social media, I've always been an advocate of professional journalists properly making use of the social media. I've said this a couple of times. Most of us, what we go to the social media to do is to greet our friends when they have their birthdays, when they have their wedding anniversaries, or just go there and post a joke and the rest. We can do better. We can do better. The president of the NIPR, Dr. Siraj, once shared something at a workshop I attended. There was tension somewhere in Kaduna State, and it was almost going to turn into a killing spree. But a simple intervention on Facebook by him saying, see, this is the real situation. That was all of it. And then everybody went back to their houses and it resolved it. So I'm appealing now at this level that those of us who have the information, those of us who are professionals, who have the right information, we shouldn't wait. We shouldn't see the social media as something for people who have no business, who have nothing they are doing. It's a powerful tool. It's a powerful tool. That is what is driving the online business for those of us who are into online journalism. it's where we operate from. WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they're all available and almost free. So we should please ensure that we use this, because it's important we get it right, that at the level at which we leave those are referred to as miscreants to run riots on the social media is the level at which this country continues to be endangered. I thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. I think your point is well noted, and that's why this this particular meet between the academy and the journalists is really, really, really important. That it's a sad thing that we did, government and indeed others were not able to support the media at the time that we needed the most. And I hope that we can make something out of it. And also to the fact that the trusted media, which is all of you we are seeing and talking with today, should stand on guard, particularly in the areas of misinformation and so on and so forth. On that note, I will call on my colleague and my, Dan Lami. I was 28 at NIPS, Kuru. I don't know what yours was, but I have the singular pleasure and honor
first, I'd like to greet distinguished colleagues, the senior MNI and my colleagues there. And to the professor, good morning, sir. I'd like to, hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, we are. We are hearing you. Dan Lami, we are hearing you. Please, can you go on? Dan Lami, we are hearing you. Can you go on, please? Well, if we are unable to get him, I probably will say we'll move on to Max.
Okay.
And later on, we shall give audience to Dan Lami. Okay. There's always this technical hitch. You should expect it for now. So Max Amuchie, please. Yeah. You are so recognized, and they would like to hear you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'd like to start on the existing protocol.
Yes, 5 minutes.
Okay. Let me just take it from where my president, Dr. Oladipo, the president of COCOP, where he, where he stopped. And let me just take it from there. He was talking about funding for the media to get the media prepared to respond to emergencies like COVID-19. This morning, I just saw that the statistics shared by NCDC on the latest figures that was distributed by African Press Organization. I saw it, and African Press Organization is not a Nigerian establishment, but there are many, all media platforms in Nigeria, online, print, electronic. We are all doing so much to inform Nigerians about what is happening. But here we have a Nigerian agency that is handling the issue, giving a foreign media platform contract to distribute the information. How would that help the Nigerian media? So the point is that the issue is that we have to support the media. Yeah, once something happens, everybody expects the media to come in, and the media has been coming in. But how effective can the media be if the support is not there? That is the point I want to make on just to clarify the issue to a level. What he said in relation to support for the media. Now, when COVID started, in fact, all the time we had in this case, February 27, 2020 in Lagos, or many Nigerians did not believe that there was COVID in Nigeria. And for that, many people were not prepared. Even the government wasn't prepared. Until we had the index case. And even after the index case, some people still did not think there was COVID. But then it happened. When it happened, there was the lockdown. The media too was locked down. In fact, the media houses closed their office, and everybody was working remotely. So the information Nigerians were getting, all they knew, all they came to know about COVID was what they got from the media. So between that time and now, the media has done a lot. And just as Dr. said, the presidential task force on COVID did very well. And NCDC also did very well, because NCDC was coming up with statistics every day. And many of us, we will not sleep until about 11 p.m., 11:30, sometimes 12 midnight, when NCDC will release the latest figure. And once they released the latest figure, we took it and posted. There will be so much traffic, because people, Nigerians were hungry for news. They were hungry for information. We have done all of that. And now the challenge is the vaccine. Yeah, somebody talking about the conflicting information. Yeah, that conflicting information is still there, because even as we speak, some scientists, even some medical doctors still don't want to accept the vaccines. That is the truth. There are videos across the world, going viral, that some medical experts will come and they will come and say that COVID is just a simple sickness, and that there was no need for the vaccine. So it is the media that has been countering this. So the point is that while the media, we on as media professionals, while we do our own job to give up the right information, let the scientists also put the act together and speak with one voice, so that we don't have conflicting information. It's important for this to happen. Let the scientists, let the science community, let the professionals, let the medical professionals, let them come together, put the act together, and so that we will know what we believe, the information we display is that the vaccine is safe, and that it is necessary for people to go and get it. The media has tried a lot to do that. The media has been doing that. So it is for the scientists, and that's where this excellent very well. That elements the media and the pharmacists can work together. Let it not end with this workshop. Let it be a continuous process. Let there be synergy, and let the pharmacists also find how they can also support the media, and we on our own part will give the effort of the pharmacists. We will give it our best shot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max. Thank you very much. You really made some points which we need to take home. And I was also trying to come up with this issue of the apathy we find in taking the vaccines. I have my own experience, which I could share with us here, but that will come in later. But it's good you made that emphasis. And I think somebody else will have to talk a little bit about it. I was so glad yesterday at the opening ceremony of this our meeting that on the right of the chairman or the president of the academy was a medical doctor, and he flowed very well with us. I think there's need for all the professionals to come together, according to Max, and put their acts together and let the journalists who are, I may say they are bolder than any of us, to push the right information to the people so that the apathy we are seeing now will abate. Let me go back to my distinguished colleague, and I think we lost him. I think he may have Komodo. Yeah.
Distinguished MNI, the kernel of my intervention has to do with the issue of collaboration and partnership. I essentially actually tagged what I wanted to talk about as something like the journalist is not a spirit, and professionals need to engage us. The truth is that most of the professionals we have in this country don't realize that they have enormous power to change the narratives of what is going on in the country. Most of them sit on what I call treasure trove of information, but they fail to engage the journalists, and they leave the journalists at the mercy of probably less informed people who begin to dish out information that embarrass everybody. I think there is the essential need for professionals to see themselves as people who need to engage journalists and pass information to them. When you see what government has come out, okay, the government in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic has decided to set up the PTF, which has now been rechristened. We have, of course, we have had the NCDC and other bodies, but we also have other professional bodies who are examining the legal frameworks of all these institutions, the institutional frameworks of the government's attempt to tackle the pandemic. Are you all satisfied with it? Are you just grumbling at the background without necessarily coming up with your observations? How do you reach out to the public? It's through the journalists. And the best way to do this is by engaging the journalists, by partnering with the journalists. But when you leave journalists alone and you think that they are spirits who should just go and look for information, it's not possible. So there's the need to actually find ways of engaging journalists. If you read any fantastic story, it's a product, when I mean fantastic, I'm talking specifically of great story. Every great story is a product of years and months of effective relationship. So professionals should learn to cultivate journalists, build relationships, build partnerships, so that when the need arises, like we are in this kind of pandemic situation, we can dish out the right kind of information, and we will not be at the mercy of fake news merchants, because there are those who are not informed, but they are louder in terms of trying to reach the public. And that is the challenge we are facing. So every member here should see himself, every professional here should see himself as somebody who can change the narrative of the COVID-19 situation we have in this country. because the power is in our hands. Some of us have more information than the journalists, but we expect that the journalists will just go and look for it. No, engage, discuss with us, reach out to us, and then you will help in shaping the narrative. Two, we also have to realize the fact that the journalist is an endangered person. Even when we do the best of investigation, and the stories are even very factual, you will discover that they are often harassed, invited for questioning, not because what they have written is not true. You will find those in power always uncomfortable when they see media practitioners, when they see journalists, and when they see reports. What are they after? Give us documents. Don't just tell us that, oh, somebody is stealing money. Oh, the COVID-19 thing is not working because they are not properly funded, or the money has not been allocated. If there are funds that have not been allocated, do you have the documents? Do you have all that the people need to know? Where are the documents? Don't expect journalists to go and report rumor. Provide us with what we need to report properly. And the journalists also need some kind of support. The media practitioners need support. I also want to use this opportunity to please appeal to everybody here that there is the need to establish great foundations that will sponsor deep journalistic investigation, independent to live NIGERIAN life for 3 months or 5 months to go and do just independent reporting, supported by one particular foundation. There is the need for that kind of foundation so that details, factual, deep investigations can come out. We are having to rely largely on, I must confess, sorry to say this, we are relying largely on foreign donors, foreign support. It's not very good for our national interest. But of course, that is the reality we find ourselves. So we have to think of raising foundations, endowments to actually encourage and sponsor and support journalists to come out with independent reports. Let me stop at this point.
Thank you very much, my brother. I think what you're saying is very right. One of the fallouts of this meeting we are having, this seminar, is that my boss, my Lord Pharmaceutical, Prince Julius Adelusi Adeluyi, together with the leadership of the media, will be able to come up with the report of this that will also support what you are saying, my brother, about supporting just fearless people who have in this place. They stake their lives and their well-being. The story is like that, but it's like that everywhere in the world. We believe that this is just but the beginning. So it's a good omen what we are seeing here today. But we still have a little time before I hand over back to the chairman or to Obeche, my brother, to move the discussions further. I believe that most of our discussants may have one or two things extra to probably they missed it out. Even the great man Azu may also, having listened to all of us, have something else to put in. I probably might just give each and every one of you a minute or two, not more than that, so that we shall work within the time frame. And there might be other things that the leadership of this meeting today might want to get across to us. Particularly the chat room will still have to take questions, and at least we should give them some 30 minutes to address what the real people we are reaching out to today might want to ask of us. So on that note, maybe a minute each. If Any of you great people has anything else that you forgot and you want to mention before you start answering the questions? I think that's where we start. I will start with Kingsley Oranta. If you have anything, sir, just a minute.
Thank you so much indeed. While this was going on, I was reading through the charts by participants, and I observed that a lot of people still doubt that there is COVID-19, which means that no matter how hard the journalists have tried, that there are still those who don't believe that this pandemic is real, which poses a lot of challenge to the media. I think that the media practitioners themselves must get trained. They must understand what the issues are. I believe that they should cultivate the attitude of asking well-informed questions. We had that challenge earlier on in the day when COVID came, that some questions were asked, even at press conferences, that were not deep enough. So you must train yourself so that you can do adequate investigative journalism. I also think that journalists should cultivate that friendship with professionals, and professionals should have an open mind to be in a position to always dish out information to journalists, real journalists, trained journalists, when they ask questions. It's not a waste of time in the Western part of this world, where you have government officials every day briefing the media. I think the media is the right partner with any professional, or any professional for that matter. And in this case, we really need to have that collaboration with professional bodies.
Great talk, great talk. I think the trusted media here represented today are people we should really partner with to disabuse the minds of people, particularly this vaccination. There's still a lot of skepticism, and I just hope that by the time we are through with our discussion today, the media will have to join us to convince people that there's nothing wrong with the vaccines. It's just, there is nothing wrong. Okay, let me call on Dotu again. Let's hear him out. Just a minute or two. You will have more opportunities to actually answer to the chat room questions that people are asking.
Thank you so much, sir. For me, on the issue of response to taking the vaccine, it's always been like that with Nigerians, and that is why for every opportunity that we have had on this side, in my own place, we've always encouraged the use of stories on people taking the vaccine. And I think we still need to do much more. But then, it can also then fall back to the government. Maybe some form of incentive, like has been done elsewhere, to people who take the vaccine. And then the media can publicize that also. I know it's not easy, especially with the state of the economy. But in some countries, it has worked, where workers are told, once you bring in your certificate, you get $100. And it has worked massively, especially in the US. So the media can push that. And then the other end of it is, we also try from here to use real life situations, people who have taken it, people who have died, not paying attention to COVID-19, especially those who are not the so-called VIPs or celebrities that a lot of Nigerians believe are susceptible to COVID-19, because some still believe till now that it's a disease for the rich men, the big men. So I think more of what we need to do is to look for those who are at the level of the society, not the VIPs, not the celebrities, to I mean, analyze our stories and give it some touch of the common man, so to say.
Thank you, Dr. We'll move on. Still, the vaccine thing is so very important. Let me ask this question, and maybe one of you can also help to elucidate it. If, for instance, Nigerians decide today to all go for the vaccines, is the government ready? Or how can we reach everybody that ought to take these vaccines? Because we find the thing restricted to some very few places. What if Nigerians now, if the media convinces all of us, taking the information from the scientists and convince all of us to start taking these vaccines, will the government be ready? Will we be able to reach every Nigerian or majority of Nigerians? Let me call on, Dan Lami, maybe 1 minute, because you had a good time, sir. And then I will call on Max, and before I hand over to my brother Obechi.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, let me try and see if I can. I don't work for government, but I just like to hazard a guess that if we manage to convince all Nigerians to go for this drug and vaccines, I mean, I'm not sure the government is ready yet, because the number of the quantity of the vaccines they have is far less than our population. If we are getting, say, about 3 million in a population of 200 something million, clearly we are not ready for that yet.
Then we have a job to do. The media has a big job to do. Arising from this, our meeting, the media has a big job to do to start asking more questions. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, government listens to the media. They listen to you, irrespective of everything. They grumble, but they know you are always saying the truth. So go on, sir.
Thank you. The other point I'd like to actually make before giving my colleague the chance is to appeal to our colleagues, the media practitioners, to remain steadfast.
Thank you.
As we chase the truth, they will come after us, but remain steadfast. Support your contacts. Never give up your contacts, of course. No good journalist will do that. But we must work hard for this country using the tool that we have, which is good journalism. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Max. Hello, Max.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you very much.
Fire on, please. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay. I'll try and be under 1 minute. Let me just give a real the experience from our own platform. Solidar Post has a WhatsApp platform where we share our stories. Most people on our platform, I don't know them. Some of them will be added by our staff, but we have this platform. When the NCDC sends out the statistics, we take it from Twitter or from their site and publish. There's a particular person on our platform. Each time we posted the news from NCDC, the guy will comment, will throw in a negative comment. He never believed there was COVID-19 in any way. He will ask us, why do you keep disturbing us with this story, with your story every day? Where is COVID? Where? I have not seen it. So this went on for about a week. I now called him privately and I spoke with him, I engaged him. I said, well, we publish these stories because they are true, because he felt that those figures were cooked up, that they were not real, that NCDC were just writing figures and allocating to states, allocated to states. And I said, no, these are people infected. This is the number of those discharged. this is the number of them. So I engaged him in this discussion. He eventually got convinced. So the point here is that there are still skeptics, but what we need to do is to continue giving out information. Let us not be deterred. Let us be undaunted. Let us keep doing it. As much as people are skeptical of what is happening, even concerning the vaccine, let us be steadfast in our report.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, Max.
Yeah.
I agree with you that this is a time to reinvent hope for the people, given the doubts and fears and hopelessness that pervades society. I agree with you that this is time for science and not time for rumors. I agree with you that this is time for solidarity with the media and not time for stigmatization. I agree with you that this is time to counter all misinformation. I agree with you that this is time to bring in credible experts to give proper insight into what is going on now. Time to show empathy and so on and so forth. On that note, I want to go back to the chat room or to my brother Wechie, and then we'll take it off from there. Thank you all so very much. I'm still standing by.
Very much. You know, scientists are also have the gift of elocution. He has just demonstrated that. We're going to the question and answer session, but before then, I will just have to introduce Mrs. Mary Atolawe, General Secretary, Nigerian Guild of Editors. She came in while the program was on. Madam, she's our secretary, our scribe. You're welcome, ma'am. Also in the house is a senior member of the Academy of Pharmacy, Mrs. Foluke Akinroye. You're welcome. She was on Channels Television the other day, and yeah, a celebrity. You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you very much. There are, in fact, a survey of questions and people's public opinion. That is why this program is put together. Observations, for instance, somebody said government is still holding information, that government is holding information and therefore denying the media of information to pass to the public to sustain fear. Another person is saying that this is not a pandemic, but a medical fraud. Those are part of the observations, but I will go to the questions. There are too many questions, but I'll just randomly pick them. Somebody's asking, does the COVID-19 qualify for a pandemic? What makes a disease a pandemic? That's a question for this house and for our panelists and everyone present. Another person is saying this. Media is a biased one. So the media we have at this moment is biased. They are not asking the right questions. So media practitioners, are you asking the right questions? Question 3 says that media is not doing enough in investigative journalism. Can the media do independent investigation to verify what has been handed to them instead of just reporting hook, line, and sinker, what both the Nigerian experts and the foreign experts dumped on them? This person is asking for investigative journalism and maybe interpretative journalism. Another question, why is the media not reporting all the opinions of the vaccine, including people that say the vaccine is not real, or the vaccine is fake, or that we don't need to even be vaccinated in the first place? Say that the media, that's the Nigerian media, is one-sided in their report. I hope the media gurus in the house are taking note of this, because the judgment from the questionnaires is skewed against you. I am not going to defend the media today. I am just a neutral arbiter. Another person wrote, this from a pastor, said, I passed through several places that are heavily congested with human beings. I don't see anyone dropping dead. Where is the pandemic? Let me stop now for so far, and then we can take all of these questions. For where is the pandemic? I'm going to ask if Azubi Isekwene is still there, because you are the keynote now. Yes. Mr. Azubi Isekwene, I hope you are listening to these questions. Does the COVID-19 qualify for a pandemic? They're asking also that you are biased as a media practitioner and you're not asking the right questions. Is that true? I will spread the other questions to the panelists because they are all editors and publishers. But if Mr. Isekwene is there, please, can you take these two questions, please?
Well, thank you very much, Ken, for moderating. And I'd also like to thank the gentleman who managed the conversation amongst the panelists for an excellent job. I am not a virologist or an epidemiologist, but I have a common understanding of what an epidemic means. If a disease that science and data tell us has claimed over 3 million lives, at about 3.8 or 4 million lives, is not an epidemic, then I don't know what an epidemic is. We all started with skepticism at the beginning about there was a lot of debate or conversation about the origin and whether and what is responsible for it and so forth and so on. But gradually we saw that this discussion about data actually became people. And the people became neighbors, and neighbors became I don't know what a pandemic is, but we do not want to be victims before we allow our lives to be governed by data and by facts. And so my advice to the doubters out there would be that we live in a world where we can take advantage of science and of medicine. So let us take advantage of science and of medicine and be safe, not just for our own sake, but also for the sake of the people that we love and that we cherish. That would be my response. What is your second question, Ken?
The media are biased. They are not asking the right questions, and they seem to be reporting one side of the story, which means pushing it to the people that there is a virus.
Hello, Ken.
The second question is asking you, why are you biased?
Ken, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Why is the media biased?
Oh, media bias. I think that if there is a media bias, the media has been, in quote, biased, in favor of science, and the media ought to be biased in favor of science and of data and safety. I want to. Obviously, from the conversation that we have had this morning, we are not saying that the media reporting has been perfect. And that is why, in my view, that is why we are having this conversation. As a media practitioner myself, I believe that what has happened in the last 1 year or so also presents an opportunity. I used to say that the pandemic itself presents an opportunity. It presents an opportunity for collaboration, which is what we are doing. It presents an opportunity for prioritization, which is what I would encourage us to do, and to take responsibility. Because I also got from the conversation a sense of helplessness by colleagues who have intervened. You know, we are not helpless. There's a whole lot that we can do, but we really are not helpless. So there is room for collaboration, which is what we are doing throughout this week in this excellent collaboration, so that we can be advocates for truth and for science and for data and for safety and for public health. We should also prioritize. And so when my boss, Dotun, talked about how the pandemic has affected the media, he is absolutely correct. But it has also affected all other professions right across. So what I would hope we'll be able to do is to prioritize. So if a media house, for example, that used to have 100 people, but had to prioritize because of the challenges of the pandemic to 50, and had to unfortunately lay off 50 staff members. What you will then do is to look at the 50 and ask yourself, so what are the areas that you will have to prioritize? And then you prioritize and deploy resources in the area of greatest need. And my final point on this is that this pandemic, as part of the opportunity that it also offers us, gives us the chance to optimize our use of data and of science for the benefits of public health. Thank you very much.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, Ken, I have finished my submission.
Thank you.
This is the chairman.
Thank you, Azu.
The chairman in meeting.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Chairman, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think for us to be able to utilize the time and follow it the way it has been spelled out, there's no need to allocate the questions to the speakers. I think that we should just take the speakers one by one, and anyone that feels he wants to respond to any issue that was raised should just do so. So we can do away with this segment because we don't have plenty of time anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much. So I'll just read out the questions. Media is not doing enough in investigative journalism. Somebody's asking, can the Nigerian media go underground and do their independent investigation to verify what has been handed to them as information? And the other question is, why is the media not reporting all sides of opinion? There are different shades of opinion on this, but somebody is worried that the media is pushing only one side, which is actually the side that says that there is a virus and that we should take the vaccine. And somebody also is asking, there is no pandemic because according to the person, passes through congested places and it does not see anybody dropping dead. Therefore, there is no pandemic. Can we respond to this, please? Thank you. Dr. Can you pick any of the questions and respond to, please? Dr. Oladipo.
Well, I think for those that is correct. What has been done within available interests and skill in health reporting are going to be as skilled as the medical practitioners in reporting. So I don't think that is right. Then number two is that in Nigeria, for me, we've always been, I won't use the word negative. We are skeptical sometimes about some of these things. When Ebola happened, it was the same reaction. There is nothing like that until it became a major issue. And I think that quickly sank in because a lot of doctors and nurses were affected, much more than it is now. I mean, not the number itself, but the time within which these things occurred, and people knowing that it was all location by traveling from one point to the other. At least we were able to piece all of those together. So I think the media has done quite a lot in terms of responding and reporting. What also some of those who have raised this issue of the media being biased should understand, especially those who read journalism, is that sometimes there are positions to be pushed out in favor or in support of a cause. Not because there are no negatives, but because the positives far outweigh the negatives. And I think we should be looking at it from this point. If this country, the way the economy is now, should go further down because of the pandemic, I'm not sure that the time for recovery will be soon. We've had economic recession, come out of it. But if we go into this, I'm not sure it will be soon before we recover. Spending so many billions to acquire little vaccine should tell us that we need to be careful. If government has put in as much as about 5 billion, I mean, almost 500 billion to do vaccine that is not even going around 10% of the population, then we should imagine what it will cost us if this will go riot again. Thank you so much.
Mr. Oladipo Dotun Oladipo, President of GoCop and publisher Eagle Online. I'm returning the mic to the house, to the table here. We are working with time, so there are many issues on the chat room in various contexts and perspectives, observations, and even some questions. We won't be able to take all of them. It's now my pleasure to invite to talk to us the president of the Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy, the only prince in our midst. Ladies and gentlemen, Prince Adelusi Adeluyi.
Thank you for inviting me to say one or two words. And I'm particularly pleased that on this occasion we have recorded a very robust attendance. Just looking at the participants list, there was a time we were more than 120. And I have noticed that we have amidst us pastors, pharmacists, professors, doctors, health workers, and of course, a lot of journalists. And people have come from within and outside Nigeria. We noticed a few people from the US and the UK also listening, which means that this program has been noticed and has been found useful. I appreciate all those who have been here. I would like to also appreciate our friend and brother who is the chairman of this occasion, Professor Tony Osa Iradia. Some of us are familiar with him as a lawyer, as a sociologist, and as an administrator. When he was DG of NTA, he left some legacies, working hand in hand with the Minister of Information that time, OK Jr. And we therefore appreciate you, our dear Chairman Tony. These are very virtual times. We hope that with the fullness of time, we will be able to, in fact, interact with you. And I also want to say that the quality of discussion today has been very encouraging. Of course, there are very many brilliant minds in the journalism that are here. Azu, for example, the group managing director of a leading newspaper. Another talk of people like Kingsley, like Dotun, like Max and Dan Lamy. You've all done very well. We pharmacists are here to listen to you, learn from you, and see how we can collaborate. The word that has actually reoccurred several times has been the word collaboration. If we're not very careful in this country, at the rate at which we are going down the slope, we might be in for some more trouble. Therefore, depending only on government and its activities might not be the only way out. That's why those who are in the private sector will do well to collaborate to see how we can address some issues meaningfully. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you members of the media are under-marketing yourselves. You are a very essential component for the development of progress and progress of this nation. Since time immemorial, the media has always had an explicit capacity of advocacy and the implicit ability to frame political issues. So they're very, very important in the development of any nation. If they were not so, they wouldn't have been baptized as the fourth estate of the realm by Edward Burke in 1787. So you people are very important. And that's why we of the Academy realized that we could have a good partnership with you. These are just the beginnings, the foundation-laying experience in the partnership. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know that this partnership is not a one-off. It's not a 100-meter dash. It's a long-distance race because there are very many issues to be addressed, not only in the health sector, but other sectors. I say again that as we enter the telecoms and fintech era of the global development, the media members have to take a new breath and redesign their involvement. When it comes to COVID, COVID has a very major pharmaceutical input. And I think that all those questions that have been asked are very valid. When the CDC MD addressed us here yesterday, he mentioned most of those points. He even went on to say that should there be questions, they should be forwarded to him, and he will personally address those questions. That's a way forward. We're beginning to reach people. Government cannot do alone what needs to be done. And therefore, we in our partnership can add to the value of impact. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is only the first day we're focusing on the press. There will be very many more days because this COVID thing is real. This COVID thing is not in a hurry. About 3 days ago, Nigeria recorded only 53 cases. On the same day when Brazil had 4,000 deaths. Is it that COVID is going away? Or is it that we are not testing enough? This is a country that lacks data. And I want to tell you, members of the media, that scientific practitioners in the pharmaceutical sector are ready, they are willing, they are waiting to give you content such that you could use them in the media. That's what the partnership is supposed to encourage. And with the fullness of time, the partnership might even extend its base such that for the sake of the improvement of the Nigerian lives and for safety and obtaining of facts and knowledge rather than depending on fear, myths, conspiracy theories and so on, will reach a stage where when the media speaks, it is with facts. Pharmacists are ready. We have professors, we have researchers, we have named them. They will be able to feed you with contents. And we now know more about the press, that once you get those facts, you'll know how to digest them and then present them to the public. So the aim of this particular day is to get to know the press more, know their challenges, and see how in our working together, we can make the press people, the media people breathe better. In these days when the media are very complicated, you have social media, you have electronic, you have print media, and you have others. So that when we work together, we would reduce our areas of misunderstanding, misrepresentation, misinformation and disinformation. And we're both working to make Nigeria a safer place, beginning with this address and attack of the COVID pandemic. It's pandemic, of course, because it's pan, from the German, from the Greek origin of pan. It affects every country, so it's world over. Whereas something like malaria is endemic. Malaria kills more people than COVID in these parts of the world, but it is endemic, and it's maybe that's why we have now worked hard on it. Finally, I think the media should join the pharmacists in their struggle to let the government realize that we can't leave Nigeria to be a satellite nation waiting for gifts to be able to exist. A country like Cuba has only 11 million people, and they already have 5 candidates for vaccines. Now, Nigeria is 200 million, and we are waiting for gifts. It's a bit of a disgrace, but it's never too late to begin anything. We've started this partnership now, and our hope is that together we can work to make Nigeria a safer and better place for all Nigerians. Again, I appreciate all of you for coming, but this is only day 2. We're going to have day 3, when we're going to talk of role of professionals and research institutes and universities. We're going to have day 4, where we're going to have drug use and misuse during this pandemic. We're going to have day 5, when we're going to talk about the lessons we have learned, the role of regulatory and international bodies in this particular situation. And finally, we're going to have lessons from this pandemic discussed. Please try to be here. Yesterday was good, over 140 people. Today has been good, over 120 people. And we have been told that should we put our reports together, those who are big boys in the villa are waiting for it as a working document. Again, I thank everybody for making this a day of satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you, President, Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy, Prince Julius Adelusi Adeluyi. Thank you very much, sir. Before I come to the chairman, Professor Tony Redia, for his closing remark, let me quickly ask the General Secretary of Nigerian Guild of Editors, Mrs. Mary Atolagbe, to give us a summary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kenigbeche. The chairman, distinguished pharmaceutical experts, and media professionals, both within the hall and those joining us virtual. We have all been able to achieve something critical to dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. And we have identified the role that the scientists are playing, the role of pharmacists, medical experts, and the media. We have all seen that we have lived up to our responsibility of working for the society. And what we have concluded with this outing today is to know that we need to sustain that action. The media has been able to play a role in letting the public, giving the right information to the public about the pandemic. The scientists have told us that they are working behind the scenes to get out data, and they're working to get out a homemade vaccine for use in Nigeria. The media is ready to sustain its responsibility by creating and evolving inventive ways, inventive programming for disseminating credible information. We have all identified that there are the good information and the bad information. And the media's responsibility is to counter the negative information. And we have also noted that statistics are important. So the media is ready and willing to deploy the facts and statistics from experts to sustain its role of information dissemination to the public. And I think we, as the media, should continue to use good journalism to play our role. And while we are doing that, just as the president of GOPCOP mentioned, we also need to counter the negative information that are going on the social media. And I think that is one aspect that I think the media professionals should focus on importantly, and then look forward to the facts from experts. And I can assure the scientists and medical experts that the media will not relent in discharging its responsibilities of dishing out credible, useful information to the Nigerian populace. We have demonstrated that we can do it. Yes, we can, because we have been able to provide information about the pandemic, and we are sustaining that by providing credible news information and programming about the vaccine. And then the next stage will be to use the good data that will be coming from the scientists and present them to the public for public good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Atolabe, General Secretary, Nigerian Guild of Editors. It's now time for the chairman to give us a closing remark. The chairman has been wonderful, outstanding. He set the ball rolling. Professor Tony Iradia, I should emphasize, is multidimensional, a sociologist, a lawyer, a journalist, broadcaster, administrator, you name it. And has been with us from the beginning, patiently waiting. Now, my pleasure to invite Professor Tony Iradia to give us the closing remarks. Mr. Chairman, sir. Prof, please unmute yourself. Please
Yes,
unmute
muted,
yourself.
please.
And it's still going off.
Please
Are you hearing
unmute
me
yourself,
now?
Prof.
We can hear you now.
We can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you, Ken. I'm really delighted. I didn't know that the indefatigable Julie Pharmacy was with us. Listening to him is quite exciting and inspiring. I think that's the right word to use. I want to say that all I noted when things were going on have virtually been answered by Prince Adelusi Adeluyi. So I have always been bothered about this mutual distrust and suspicion between the media professional and the scientist represented today by the pharmacist. Many times, Nigerian scientists do not wish to give information to anybody. They just involuntarily hoard information. In days past, the information was usually locked up in their laboratories and huge textbooks. Now, when they begin to bring out information, then it means that we are going for good. And so the promises made by Prince Adelusi Adeluyi also answered the call by Dan Lami that it's better to engage the media. We don't engage the media enough in this part of the world. You can almost see that those who engage the media, they get a lot of media coverage. Sometimes people mistakenly think it's just cash. It's not always so. There's a lot of stories about politics because the politician will not rest until you go to his assignment. He will pursue you till you get to his assignment. He will engage everybody. He will make all the necessary information, invitation, propping and all of that to ensure that the assignments are covered. Our scientists must begin to develop that approach too, of ensuring that when information is yours, it gets out to the public. You don't just expect that it will get out because there's a media. The media may not have that your information. There has been an argument too by Marx, which was quite made today, that there's a need to support the media. Again, government and other bodies must not misunderstand this support. The media are not begging cap in arms for cash. They're asking for infrastructural support. They're asking for recognition. The point made by Marx that a foreign company has been given the contract to distribute news about COVID-19 is disheartening when we have a news agency of Nigeria. I think there should be a change of heart on the part of those outside the media in understanding how the media can be useful. Now, on the part of the media, I think that the media has done so much. Everybody has said so today. But I want to say it has not done everything it should do. Much more can still be done. When we say scientists are either unwilling to speak or are timid or are shy, it's the duty of the media to prop them up through what people have called investigative journalism, through interviews here and there. Some people who are shy of speaking will be compelled to speak because you are pursuing them. Let us also say that there has not been sufficient attention given to COVID-19. That is not to say that there has been no attention. It has not been sufficient. Kingsley told us how channels devotes a program to COVID-19. That's quite commendable. Everybody needs to do that. It's not just giving a time to COVID-19 issues. You should give a percentage that is predictable. Everybody knows the number of percentages that COVID-19 issues will be raised in one day in every medium. If we can increase it, then we'll have far more than we are doing right now, because information is different from education. Most of the time, the media is always informing. Whether people understand, whether they don't understand, the media sometimes is not in a position to even verify. So there is need for a feedback mechanism on the part of the media to ensure that all the things we are doing are well done. It is not only news that is a source of information and education. Even drama sketches can be done to make a lot of people who don't like the talk shops to see media, drama programs that allocate, roles to actors that will be an influence on those who still have this, apathy towards believing in what is happening. I also think that even the social media that we're talking about, as somebody has said, I think it's Dotun, the media need to use it better than it is being done now. The social media should not be seen as a platform for jokes or fellowship or relationship between one another. Instead, the social media should be used to see as an avenue that draws attention to what is happening, and then the mainstream media will follow that up and bring out the best of it all. On a general note, I think that we need to sustain today's arrangement, and I'm happy that Prince Adelusi Adeluyi has said so. But you see, every pharmacist, every scientist in Nigeria is not Julius Adelusi Adeluyi. We need more scientists to have this wide horizon of the use into which the media can be put for the betterment of the nation. So we must engage the media by ensuring that all the issues that are available are put there. And how do we do this? We should stop calling the media when there's trouble. As soon as we start a particular project, engage the media in it, involve the media in it, let them be part and parcel of it, and they'll be the best to tell you precisely what part of what you are doing will easily make the news. Again, let us not be discouraged. Those theorists who have propounded such things as technological determinism have told us that when a new invention or a new development comes, it cannot be accepted by all at the same time, because we are all not equally endowed. So instead of losing hope, let us continue to speak more and more. There are some people, it is when you have said something the third time that they understand you. What that means, therefore, is that mobilization, orientation, public enlightenment must be a continuous affair. It must not be a one-off, and all efforts must be done to ensure that we all come together. On this note, I want to thank the Nigerian Academy and the NGE for coming together. I hope they will continue to come together, and that there will be somebody in the NGE to make the same point that Adelusi Adeluyi has made today. And when they don't call you, please call them. Once again, I thank you all for coming, and I thank the invitees for bringing me to this occasion. I've enjoyed myself thoroughly. I thank all the great speakers of today. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much. He spoke professorially, as expected. Now it's for us to appreciate our resource persons by giving tokens. We can never pay you people enough, but this is just symbolism to say we appreciate your time, your presence, your intellectual and professional contributions to today's debate and conversation. In no particular order, the first gift item goes to our moderator, Dr. UNO Uwaga. I need to emphasize that he was a former president of the PSM, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Uwaga, this is just for you. We have done it virtually, but I will ask that Ms. Mary Atolagbe, can you please rise to receive on behalf of Dr. Uwaga? Yeah, thank you. We'll find a way to dispatch it to them.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, when you go to a competition, it is the winners that take home the trophy. We have a chairman that is a winner, Professor Tony Iradia. Sir, this one looks different. That's why it's a trophy. And because you are the chairman, it represents the chair. It represents your intellect. It represents your very seminar contributions today, sir. So this is for you, sir, Professor Tony Iradia.
Very much. Thank you.
There was no debate.
I said this is in no particular order. So the next recipient is the publisher of Sunday Post, Mr. Max Amuchie, my very good friend. Thank you. Congratulations, Max, and thank you for your contributions. That's for a popular face on television. Ladies and gentlemen, a token for Mr. Kingsley Iranta of
Yes, now we're inside.
And this one goes to the only MNI I know in GOCOP, and one of the few in journalism, Mr. Danlami Modu, publisher News Diary Online. Congrats, Danlami, and thanks for coming. This one is symbolically the last because it's to be presented to a president. Ladies and gentlemen, president of the Guild of Corporate Online Publishers and the publisher of Eagle Online, Mr. Dotun Oladipo. This is for you, sir. Now, vote of thanks will be done by, we have a knight in our midst, Sir Ifeanyi Atoyin, Vice President of NAPHARM. Please, just thank those that came, sir.
Thank you very much for this assignment. You have asked me to thank those that have come. Is it physically or online? Those online, have they come? Okay, we have all come, so I want to thank everyone. And let me really thank God because what has been happening since yesterday is work of God, an idea that has come from God. I've always said it that what is happening this week has never happened before. To assemble great men and women in authority and who are experts in different areas for this week, from Monday to Saturday. We thank God for making it possible. And thank God for those He is using to make sure that this week is successful. I want to thank in particular the chairman for today, Professor Tony Iradia. I haven't heard him speak. In fact, this is the first time I'm coming close to him. And I've been very much impressed with his opening speech and also the remarks he had just made. It's wonderful. Thank you very much for being with us from the beginning and as we are ending. I have observed a lot of pharmacists who are online. Most of them were with us yesterday and have spared their time to be with us today. We can't mention names, but on the screen, I can always see Professor Femi Oyewo. I don't know whether it's because she has just celebrated her 70th birthday. Congratulations, but you're welcome. I have Professor Kemi Odukoya. She has been with us. We look forward to seeing all of you. Paul Enebeli and Ernest Okafor, they're all there. Please, I can't mention all names. Thank you for coming, and we're expecting you to be with us tomorrow. The president has given you a brief of what will happen tomorrow. Another interesting day. I want to thank the journalists because they have turned out in large numbers. Many names on the screen, apart from those who have participated physically. I want to thank my president because I can assure you that since COVID started last year, this is the only event that he has decided to come out physically and attend. He even warned me not to visit him. When I requested a visit, he said, no, don't visit me. But he was here yesterday with us, and he's here today, showing he knows his priorities. There are many events he has declined, and unless they were online. But this particular one, he has said physical. And I want to thank him very much. And whenever he's present in any function, it makes a difference because we have known him to be chairman of all chairmen in all events. I want to thank Mrs. Foluke, Akiri lawyer, because she has been with us even when we had the press conference. Many colleagues are engaged in many places, so they are online, but she has found time to be with us. I want to thank the NGE, because this is the day they have come up prominently, yes, in our activities. And I believe the press, both press, print, and electronic, will carry all we are discussing. You are no more lacking information. You are no more being denied of the authorities and the specialists. They are lined up this week for you. Whatever information you need, please, they are ready to answer you so that you get the facts and no more fictions this week. And this is the purpose of collaborating with NGE. We shall have the facts and no more the fiction. Once again, I want to thank everyone and look forward to our number, which will be increasing tomorrow. We are expecting more of you to come. Those that are here today, please be here tomorrow. And we're asking you to bring more people so that our joy will be complete. Once again, I want to thank everybody and wish you a very nice day as we spend the rest of the day. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Announcement, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, as the president of the Academy has expressed his gratitude on behalf of the coalition, I call it, I want to thank you once again for being around. Even at this point, we're about 80 people in the house. A lot of comments in the chat room, and there was a particular request that all these comments will be passed to the chairman. And I want to say that I've already made that promise that Professor Tony Redia will receive all your comments. I'm even sure that he's already following it. All the opinion that you have expressed, the purpose of coming out is to, we want Nigerians that, apart from journalists or pharmacists, we want Nigerians to come and ask questions. For instance, tomorrow we are going to have the Executive Director of the National Primary Health Care Development Agency, who is responsible for the distribution and administration of the vaccine. He will be here tomorrow. Come and ask him questions, but without bias. Let's ask questions. Let him tell us what they are doing and how they are doing it. I've answered some comments in there. We did not receive money from anybody or any group. This is an initiative that comes from us with the only purpose of making things better for our people. You can understand, I can understand, but there are so many Nigerians who do not. And we hold them a responsibility to get them involved. Tomorrow is another day where we'll be looking at role of professionals, research institutes. You've been talking about vaccines. We have many research institutes. What are they doing? What's holding them? What do they need to do? Maybe they have some questions, they have some drawbacks or some barriers or things like that. Just come and talk about it. So we expect you tomorrow. Thank you very much and remain blessed.
Thank you. So see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much.